All right. So the big questions that everybody asks a lot of times, and I hear this in almost every dinar chat, every dinar video, people want to know these questions. How much Iraqi dinar is out there? And where do I go to find out this answer? Okay, so before I tell you where to go to find out the answer to these questions, let me try and explain what you'll be looking at so that you're not lost, okay? So, you can find out approximately how much money each country, as a matter of fact, has generated by reviewing a report. The reports are called the M reports, otherwise known as the money reports, okay? These reports broadly cover the country's money supplies, the entire stock of currency and other liquid instruments circulating in the country's economy as of sorry about this. I give this a little time. So, they want to know the entire stock of the currency that's out there. How much is out there for each country? You can find these out on what's called an M report, okay? So, economics or economists use the information to analyze the money supply. And I'm talking about the M reports. They use this information to analyze the money supply as a key variable to understanding the macro economy to help guide macroeconomical policies. Yeah, I know this is boring. I'll try to make this as quickly as possible, okay, and easy as possible. Okay, so change in the money supplies are closely watched because of their relationship between the money and macroeconomics variables such as inflation. Okay. The money supply can be measured in a variance of ways using narrow or broader definition of which classes of financial assets are considered to be money, okay? So I know this is boring, but let me just get through this really quick because here comes the reports that people ask me about sometimes. So what are the M reports? For the sake of keeping this quick and simple, I'll just quickly go over what the M reports are. So you have the MO report or the M0 report. That's money zero maturity. It is a measure of liquid money or base money in the economy. Okay, it measures readily available cash from bills and banknotes, checking, savings, and money market accounts. It does not include CDs or time deposits, okay? The M1 report is a narrow measure of money supply that includes physical currency, demand deposits, traveler's checks, and other checkable deposits. M1 does not include financial assets such as savings accounts or bonds. So the M1 is no longer used in the United States due to the lack of correlation between it and our economical variables, okay? So, the M2 report. The M2 measures the money supply. So this is the one that is, just so you know, the M2 is the one that everybody asks me about all the time. What is Iraq's money supply? Can you tell me what the M2 report means? Okay, so the M2 is a measure of money supply that includes cash, checking deposits, and easily convertible near money. Okay, M2 is broader measurement of money supply than the M1, which just includes cash and checking deposits. M2 is closely watched as an indicator of money supply and future inflation, and as a target of central banks' monetary policies. This is why people ask about this the most, okay? So, several people have asked me about the M2 numbers and if I know how much Iraqi dinar is in circulation, okay? So here's your answers. All you got to do is go to the Iraq money supply or the M2 report. But it's not the only report that's on here. You could call it the M2, but you can see right here you have the M0, the M1, and the M2, okay? So you can see the M2 report. So what does this mean? How much is out there in circulation? The money supply from the M2 in Iraq increased from 99,837,000,000 IQDs in August from 98,968,000,000 IQDs in July. So it actually went down. Actually, I shouldn't say it increased. It actually went down slightly. So the money supply the M2 in Iraq, the average, just so you're aware, because people go, watch really high, but the average from 2003 through 2019 has only been 55,770,000,000 IQDs out there in circulation, okay? So, but that's not even an accurate number, to be honest with you, and I'm going to show you why. Yeah, I know. All you guys are thinking, holy crap, that's a lot of money. Because I know what you're doing, all right? I know what a lot of you are trying to do. You're trying to get an idea of how much IQD is in circulation and then multiply that times the rate change to get an idea of how much money would be going out for the exchange. And does Iraq have enough money to cover it? Okay, well, let me try and ease your minds. The amount of money that is in circulation isn't going to give you an accurate idea of how the exchange is going to work. And here's what I mean, okay? So, let me simplify this for you so that you can understand. So, the one you want to look at actually is not the M2 report. It's the MO or the M0 report, because that's actually is the actual amount of physical money in circulation. So Iraq has 76 billion and 71 million approximately physical dollars out there. All right. I know it doesn't look much better, okay, but let me explain. So just wait, there's more. So, but you need to keep these things in mind, all right? So just don't look at a number and get blown back. I know what everybody's doing. The problem is you're putting everybody on the same plateau or in the same group, and I'm going to explain to you why you're wrong, okay? You need to keep these things in mind. Since Iraq is moving away from the two currency system, so currently they use both the IQD and the US dollar. So they're getting ready to move into a single currency system, which means the US dollars won't be good there no more, except for only in the banking community. So Iraqi people can no longer go in there and exchange their dinars for US dollars. And besides that, after the rate change, why would they want to? They would actually get lower money. So it wouldn't make any sense, okay? So what I mean by that is this. Once the rate change happens, the only thing that changes for the Iraqi people is their purchasing power. It increases. So in other words, nothing really happens. So if they have 25,000 IQDs, they're not going to run there and exchange and get 75,000 USD. It's not going to work that way, because now the Iraqi dinar is actually worth 3 times more than what the US dollar is. And besides that, once they go to a single currency situation, they're not going to be able to exchange it for anything. All this means is that their purchasing power has increased, all right? So I want you to keep in mind. So, you know, and another thing too, I think what people misunderstand is they think they're all just going to be able to run into your bank or go to exchange and just give them millions of IQDs, and then you're going to be walking out of this bank with a big sack of money, you know, millions of dollars in your hands. That's not what's going to happen. I can tell you now, I've already talked to my bank manager at Wells Fargo, and this is exactly what he told me. He said once the rate change happens and it's internationally recognized, that's another thing you got to keep in mind. The rate change could happen, and it only affects in-country at the time. We have to wait until the United Nations comes in with the World Trade Organization and the World Banks, and they recognize the currency as an international currency all over again. Until they do that, there's nothing we could do here in the United States unless you know somebody in the country that wants to go exchange it for you. But if you send your money over to Iraq and have them exchange it for US dollars, remember, they're going to get lesser amounts, okay? So keep in mind, you're not going to be able to do that. What my bank manager says is you come in, if you have more than $1 million that you're depositing worth of IQD, then once you make that deposit, it's locked in. All the Iraqi dinars that you give them is locked in at that rate. So it shows in as deposited, but you will not have access to all that money at first. You will have access to some of it at first, and then another 30, 60 days later, you will get access to another portion of it. And then 90 to 120 days, you will have access to the rest of it. They will spread it out like that so that we don't cause a crash in the economy, okay? So you're not going to get all your money at one time. It's going to be spread out over a period of time. So just kind of keep that in mind as well, okay? So also, this is what I mean by the purchasing power has changed in Iraq. I'm going to give you an example. So let's say before the rate change, an Iraqi person wants to buy a car. To keep things simple, I'm just going to use round numbers, all right? Just for the sake of this example. So before the rate change, let's say this car costs 30,000 dinars, all right? I'm just using this as an example, so don't put comments in there trying to calculate things for me. I'm just trying to keep things simple. So pretend like you're in Iraq, you want to buy this car costs you 30,000 dinars. So now say that the rate change has happened and the value of the Iraqi dinar has increased the purchasing power. That's the rate change, because all you're doing is increasing the purchasing power. So now the purchasing power is 3 times what it was before. So if you use that same money, that means this car that at one time cost $30,000 now only costs $10,000 because the value of the currency, or I should say the purchasing power of the currency changed. And keep in mind, a bulk of the dinar is in Iraq. These people won't be running down and exchanging money and jumping all around like they just made out like bandits. That's not going to happen once they go to the single currency system. And if I'm not mistaken, they might be there now. Their purchasing power will increase. And besides that, they'll be more than happy to just work with their own dinars, okay? So once the rate change happens, a $30,000 car, if the rate increases 3 times, so if the purchasing power increases 3 times, that means a car that cost $30,000 at one time now only costs $10,000. Do you get that? Their bills remain the same. Nothing's changed. Only the purchasing power has changed, okay? So now, since each country is different depending on the value of each country's own currency, some countries will get from very little back after the change to a lot of money back. So one country might get back 10 cents for each $1 worth of dinar that it exchanges. That's just the way it is. Some countries' own currencies are more valuable than other countries, okay? So it just depends. If your currency is less valuable than the Iraqi dinar, then you would get more of your own money back. Does that make sense? But if your currency is more valuable than the dinar, then you're still getting less than what your currency is. I hope that makes sense, okay? So some countries will see a small change back, some will see bigger. In our case, I know we've been talking about it. Let's just use again the round number. Let's say we get $3 per dinar. That means you're going to get 3 times the amount of your banknote. So if you have a $10,000 dinar, you're going to get $30,000 back of American dollars, okay? But see, it's not that way for every country. So again, the people in Iraq are not going to be able to exchange and walk out of there rich. That's not going to happen. The only thing that happens in country is their purchasing power changes. For people outside of Iraq, each country is going to have a different exchange amount based on their own currency. So see, what everybody is doing is they're trying to guess how much dinar is out there. Then they're in their mind going, oh, if it changes to 322, that's for everybody. Nope, that's not. It's not for everybody. Each country is going to be different. So keep that in mind, all right? I don't want you to mix things up. I want you to understand that it's going to be different. So, so calm down, people. Just knowing how much dinar out there is not going to help you determine one way or another if this investment's really going to happen, okay? There's other variables that you have to keep in mind. Also, you got to keep in mind that most of the exchanges that take place are not physical dollars. We're going to be doing this digitally, and not all the money that we deposit in our banks is going directly to Iraq. Our country will hold a big portion of the Iraqi dinar. Each country must hold other countries' currencies, okay? It's mandatory for them to, in order for them to have a good credit rating and for them to work on the World Trade Organization, all right? So I hope this answers your questions. So people trying to figure out how much physical dinar is out there isn't going to help you to determine whether or not this investment's real, because there's too many variables taking place for you to really get it pinned down, okay? I hope this answers your question. Please smash the like button, hit subscribe, and feel free to share this video. Thank you.